Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming to our press conference. My name is Sean Astin. I'm a professional actor. I became a member of what was then called the Screen Actors Guild before it was SAG-AFTRA in 1985, right around Goonies time. My mother, Patty Duke, right around that time was a president of the Screen Actors Guild. So I grew up in a union environment. And I have to say, the reason I'm here is because I'm pretty excited about the idea of a little bit of a sea change. We're very used to the union world sort of operating as business as usual, and there's a moment right now with this contract vote to actually do nothing bad. There's an opportunity to do something now that is all good, no matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone in the leadership of our union or any of the supporters of our union, the opportunity that we have now is to vote no and then send the contract or send our leaders back to the table. And it doesn't hurt anyone. All it does, I mean, I'm sure the producers would be a little hesitant about it, but we'll work it out. So that's my feeling. I'm excited. I feel good about it. And thank you all for coming.
Hi, I'm Jolliffe Fisher. Thank you for the honor and the responsibility of taking part in this. I am an actor, a union member for almost 40 years. That's incredible. My whole family is or were union members. You might say Hollywood royalty. I was born with a SAG card in my hand. Sean and my mother were SAG union leaders. So we understand the precariousness of these negotiations and appreciate the time and the effort that the team put in. It just isn't enough. The landscape isn't changing. It has been demolished and rebuilt. New media isn't new. My concern, my desperation is for veterans of this union and for the next generation coming up after us. And for many reasons, a cornucopia of reasons, I'm voting no. The devil is in the details and the fine print. Please go back in and negotiate better. Thank you.
Good morning. Yesterday afternoon, the Los Angeles Local Board of Directors of SAG-AFTRA took the unprecedented step of voting not to support a motion in favor of the proposed TV theatrical contract that is currently before all our members nationwide. This action wasn't taken lightly. While many of us in the boardroom have expressed our displeasure with the manner and outcome of the negotiations, no one wants to expose the fissures of an organization to the outside world. And yet, an overwhelming number of us knew two things: that the deal isn't good enough, and now is the time to fix it. The health and safety of our members is our top priority, which means getting back to work as soon as it is safe. Sadly, we all sit waiting, but there is hope. Voting to ratify this contract will in no way, shape, or form get us back to work sooner, but it will ensure that when you do go back, it'll be for much less money and far fewer protections than you deserve. A pattern has developed with our negotiations over the last several years. We've seen a steady erosion in benefits. This year, we must say, enough, stop. We are worth more than you're paying. Together, we must say with one voice that you can't roll back my pay, my pension, my protections, and more. The numbers and explanations that are being mailed to you over and over again with your money and at the expense of our right to be heard paint a rosy picture. But it's a facade. You have a right to know how the increases in pay are offset, which is why, as we all sit waiting for this nightmare pandemic to abate, we have the opportunity to take action. Action that in other times would require a vote to strike. To be absolutely clear, the LA board doesn't want that. I don't want that. Nobody wants a strike. And most importantly, no one needs to strike in order to go back to the negotiating Zoom conference room and insist that some of our vital concerns be addressed. Our colleagues in the leadership are propagating this notion that if we vote this contract down, we will, in their words, cause a self-inflicted wound. Ratifying this deal would be a self-inflicted wound when we could so easily take advantage of the forced work stoppage tragically caused by this quarantine. Of course they feel this way. I don't blame them. In fact, I want to help them. I want every voting member of this union to know that a no vote on this contract will help them. I look forward to the moment when I look my colleagues in the eyes and say, thank you for, albeit grudgingly, allowing us to dissent. We are modeling good governance to our members and to anyone in the labor movement across this country who finds themselves imperiled by a nation that is increasingly hostile to organized labor and collective bargaining and the deterioration which causes pressure and injuries and injures the effectiveness of any union. Now, I'll tell you now, there have been anomalies in this election. Our earnest desire, in fact, our sworn obligation to our members, is that they may freely choose who they wish to represent them in this business. If there's no other place of refuge for the working performer, it's with us. If you're an actor, a stunt performer, a dancer, a background artist, a journalist, whether you're affiliated with my local here in Los Angeles or Orlando or Portland or New Mexico or any of the other 22 sister locals, we are committed to leading this fight to do good, this fight to support our leaders and our negotiators, to empower them to go back to that table with wind at their backs. It's time to just let our system work. Time to let our members' voices be heard. Time to unite. The leadership in this union has the full apparatus of government at their disposal. We've seen just how far the reach of their big microphone goes with an extremely well-funded, well-staffed, and bullying campaign. Well, we're not going to be bullied. I am the president of the largest local in our union, comprising nearly half of the 160,000 members of this union and bringing in over half of the revenue in this union. Our solvency, in thanks, is in large measure to the sweat of my members. Those of us in the local board who wish to vote this contract down comprise nearly 2/3 of our boardroom. We have real power, and we intend to use that power to defend our members' rights. Now, many of these members have shared with us that they never knew that they could choose to vote no, that they were confused by the messaging from the union. Many tell us that they don't know what's even in the contract. This is no accident. There is a pure effort to make sure that the members only hear information that supports their point of view. This has prejudiced the election, and it unfairly suppresses our rights to communicate with our members with the same access and the same resources. And while it may not be a fair fight, we respect their leadership, and we want to work together to go back to meet our producing patterns on firmer ground.
Thank you very much, Pat. My name is Jolliffe. I'm a 52-year member of SAG and AFTRA, now SAG-AFTRA. I'm a national board member and second vice president of Los Angeles. I'm a career actor. It's all I've ever done to make a living. I have great concerns about this proposed TV theatrical deal, as well as how it's being presented to the membership, which Pat was referencing. The full story isn't being told to our members. Let me go through some of our issues of concern. Syndication. There's a huge loss for performers here. They will see an up to 90% reduction in their residual. And this will affect 35,000 individual performers. Many of these performers are 10, 20, 30-year career performers. When they signed their contract to work, part of that contract that they signed last week, last year, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, had a provision that if that show went into syndication, they would be paid a fixed residual. To now say that, well, we're going to change that and you're not going to get that fixed residual going forward from the show you did 15 years ago that's now in syndication. And the residual you're going to get is now going to be, instead of that $100 check, is now going to be $10, is unacceptable to us, especially when it's being used as a trade to get an increase in SVOD, Amazon, Netflix, and the like residuals. We don't throw people out of the lifeboat so that we can pull others in. We keep the people we have in the lifeboat and bring and save the others. The pension and health increase, the 2% pension health increase, it's great that we're doing that. But members need to be aware that 75% of that increase is coming directly out of their own wage increase. So it's taking money out of one pocket and putting it in another. The grandfathering in SVOD, this is where new episodes of old shows, of old series, may not see the new residual increase. Supposedly this has been rectified, but when you look deep into the language, it gets very murky. So we would like to have that better explained to us. Regarding our background performers, only one new background performer has been added in the second year of the deal. And the background increase makes up 1/5% of the $318 million that's being reported. It's a $600,000 increase overall. So if you want to couch this deal in the money that's being the added money, $318 million, they're at $600,000. I think we could have done much better for them. This under 20 minutes in new media, SVOD, this is where the studios can avoid paying us basic minimums, 12-hour turnaround, if the show is under 20 minutes. And it doesn't matter what the budget level is. The budget can be $3 million for that episode made by one of the major studios, and the actor goes to work and they have to negotiate their minimums. And also in the era of cross-boarding, where shows are dropping all at once. In a 10-episode arc, let's say, somebody is doing, they're playing the hot dog salesman on the Santa Monica Pier, and that scene is in episode 1, episode 3, and episode 7. What's happening in cross-boarding is the production smartly is saying, okay, we're going to shoot all the Santa Monica Pier scenes today. So we're going to do your scene, hot dog salesman. We're going to do your scenes of episode 1, episode 3, and episode 7 today at the Santa Monica Pier. Oh, great, I'm doing 3 episodes. Well, not under 20 minutes. If the show is under 20 minutes, what they do is they say, okay, here's $1,000 for the day. Wait a second, you mean $1,000 for the episode, right? For 3 episodes? Oh, no. We're going to pay you, for those 3 episodes, we're going to pay you $1,000 for the day. This is a bad precedent to set. It's the only area where this can happen, where we let the studios avoid the majority provisions of our contract if it's under 20 minutes. That needs to be rectified and fixed so it's consistent with the rest of the industry. You see a lot of stuff that went out from the union saying, well, we went with the syndication residual formula because that's the new industry standard. Well, the industry standard is when we show up to work and work on an episode, we get paid at least minimum, and we have a 12-hour turnaround. So that's concerning us, the under 20 minutes. Foreign travel. This is where we had for decades business class, first class travel in foreign countries. And now that is, in this deal, that is gone, under 1,000 miles. And especially in the era of COVID, with the uniqueness of our membership, which are familiar faces, we feel that this was not the right time to be doing something like this. It's a safety issue, not just a security safety issue, but also a health safety issue. Nudity. Our sister union in Canada, ACTRA, has far superior nudity protections than we do. And then again, in an area where this has become really at the forefront and the needed sensitivity is finally taken hold, the studios refused with us to accommodate this essential need. To pay TV, which is HBO, Showtime, and the like, we had an opportunity to more fairly distribute these residuals that would have cost the studios nothing. No, just take the money and redistribute it amongst the actors in a more equitable way. And nothing, no movement there. Options and exclusivity. This is a huge problem where the studios can hold an actor for an inordinate amount of time. And in the era of the 10-episode arcs, like I was talking about earlier, actors are precluded from finding other work in their now much increased non-earning downtime. The advanced payment of residuals. This is where a performer has the residuals credited against their original session earnings. We have capped the application of advanced residuals at 15% at Netflix, but failed to match that with the studios. And it's really, many series performers go, oh man, I booked this series, this is fantastic, and I got this great quote. Well, your great quote, 30% of it, 40% of it was really the advanced payment of residuals. So, 3 or 4 years later, the person isn't working that year and they're going, well, at least I have this, these residuals are going to be coming in. Oh, no, that was part of the check that when you originally worked. Huh? What? I thought that was my quote. No. So this is another issue that needs to be fixed. Look, I'll just stop here. Pat Richardson, President Richardson, referenced this. Voting no on this deal does nothing more than empower our negotiating team to go back to the bargaining table and get a fair deal. I say it over and over again. We're not looking for what we want. We're looking for what we need. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Frances Fisher. I've been in the business since I was 20 years old, and I'm the first vice president of the LA local. And I want you to remember something, that just because an actor agrees to a nude scene or a scene of a sexual nature, that does not mean that they're surrendering their body to be exploited by anyone and everyone on the set, nor are they agreeing to have that footage used or edited in a way that was not agreed to, either when the actor auditioned or when it was filmed. This is the necessity for protections of actors during auditions, during production, and after the footage has been captured. High-profile cases of sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, and exploitation have plagued our industry in recent years. Our negotiating partners, the AMPTP, have stated that they understand the sensitivity of this issue and want to create a work environment that respects our artists' dignity. They've shown that sensitivity in regards to the performer's contract under ACTRA, our sister performing union in Canada. But when it comes to our own contracts, we have been left exposed. From the audition room to the cutting room, actors who put themselves into the most vulnerable of positions are left unprotected by the negotiated terms with the AMPTP. There is no unambiguous limit to the number of essential personnel present in auditions for intimate scenes. We do not receive complete disclosure a lot of times of what the scene will involve, the storyboard, the script, the location. One of the celebratory achievements of the president's tenure has been intimacy coordinators to ensure the safety of actors on sets while performing scenes of a sexual nature. And yet, this contract, tentative contract, could not even guarantee the allowance of intimacy coordinators on a set. Every production could say no to intimacy coordinators, and there's nothing that SAG-AFTRA can do. The actors, however, are given a phone number to the director with whom they can discuss issues involving their scene. But again, the production is not required to even notify the actor in advance of the details of their scene. So sometimes the only time the actor can raise the issue to the person on the other end of the phone is after the filming. We do not prohibit the use of monitors on our closed sets, opening us up to a greater level of exposure than we may consider appropriate. We do not require that unused photography be destroyed. The fact that negotiations ever even have to happen to ensure the safety of performers in their most vulnerable state is frankly appalling. In the year 2020, Me Too, time's up. We can do better than this. Now I want to talk to you about voter suppression. Twice, both on the SAG-AFTRA website on Thursday, July 2nd, and in an email sent to members on Tuesday, July 7th, SAG-AFTRA national leadership engaged in active voter suppression by only providing a vote yes button and not a no vote no button. After the LA local leadership contacted national staff about that issue on the website, the vote yes button was changed to say vote. And right above it, it said vote yes. But it's not clear how many members intended to vote no were affected prior to the change. It scared me when I went online and it said vote yes. If I push this, does that mean my vote goes yes? Well, hang on. Immediately after the LA local board meeting yesterday, an email was sent to the members, and again, with only vote yes links included, but not a link to voting no. In either case, members who intended to vote no would understandably be confused, as I was, and dissuaded from voting. I took a chance and pushed the button, and it took me to the site where I could vote my conscience. But most of the members are not understanding that the vote yes buttons and links take them to the third-party voting page where they could vote no or yes. While the national leadership has every right to encourage members to support a contract approved by the national board, it's unacceptable to intentionally confuse members and attempt to prevent members opposed to the contract from voting. The leadership of the Los Angeles local fully supports every member's right and duty to vote their conscience on this and all union voting opportunities. Thank you.
Hi, I'm A. Martinez. In the course of my career, there have been times when things really got tough. I've been at it for 5 decades plus. The ebb and flow of available roles for ethnic performers has been a volatile metric, to say the least. Sometimes work just flat dried up. I couldn't get over the bar to earn my insurance. When you have a family, that immediately drops you into crisis mode. You're having to pay exorbitantly to try to stay insured at a time when you're not making any money. Over the course of years like that, the availability of these residuals in amounts you could count on was a lifesaver. Now, the winds are obviously changing with regards to old school episodic syndication versus streaming. But this does not seem to me to be an opportune time to abandon our fixed rate formulas on the prediction that the studios are going to suffer huge imminent declines in syndication revenue, and that we actors therefore have an obligation to protect them from that. I think the Guild's operating motto, "We are easy to work with but hard to fight," is genius, but it's not clear how exactly it should apply in a moment like this. What's going on now is beyond remarkable. I know nobody wants to hear it, but we are nowhere near any assurance on the imminent return to business as usual in high budget streaming productions, or any production for that matter. Things may get better with COVID in the first year or so of this contract, but things may get exponentially worse. We're encouraged to deny the possibility, but given what's going on, it remains a possibility. We may see severe reductions in the amount of new work available to us at a time when we are trading away the dependable protocol by which we are paid for the work we've already done. One of the takeaways for me from last year's convention was to measure America's loss of dominance in international market share of scripted entertainment. And now we're going to put that vulnerability to the test at a time when America is the epicenter of danger in the world, at a time when a lot of the admiration for America in the world has turned to other decidedly less positive emotions. Pete Dontico spoke incisively about this in his video on the Dissenting Opinion 2020 website. To have these syndication earnings reduced at a time when making our insurance may become impossible to achieve for unprecedented numbers of us surely makes this deal worth another look. We need to set a better bar for what we'll earn in the future while simultaneously better protecting the value of what we've done in the past. That is the wise and conservative play in a moment that calls for wisdom and conservation. In other words, a more balanced deal is a better deal. And that's why I'm voting no, to encourage and empower our team to go back and get that better deal done. Thank you.